Broadcasting live from the Mile High City in Denver, Colorado. You're listening to Bronco Planet, brought to you by the Denver Broncos Booster Club, home of the greatest fans in the NFL.
Well, hey there, folks. It's Shad and Danny. Welcome to Bronco Planet. And Shad, some pretty exciting news also.
Yeah, hey, now the official podcast of the Denver Bronco Booster Club.
Oh, boy. I'm just gonna courtesy clap.
Hey, we love what they're doing there. Obviously, giving a lot of money already, $3,000 some to Children's Hospital this year, $8,500 to the alumni last year. So, hey, we're happy to be back. If the Broncos have unfinished business, then Danny and I have unfinished business.
Yeah, we definitely decided to go into the Brett Favre type of retirement when we can just come back for any time, for any reason. And Shaddy, let's just jump right into it. There's a lot to be excited about this Denver Bronco team this year.
Yeah, I think the last time we saw some of you, we were out here. We got embarrassed in the Super Bowl. Elway doesn't like getting embarrassed, so he got after it. I think he has done a fantastic job of bringing in some great talent, and nowhere else did we need the talent more than on the defensive side of the ball. Danny, tell us about what's got you excited about these moves.
How can you not be excited about DeMarcus Ware and TJ Ward? Two big hitters, big veteran guy in DeMarcus Thomas. And quite frankly, when you just look at the front four of the Denver Bronco defense, you know, sure, before we would get excited about Elvis and Vaughn, but we never really had the guy. We had Vickerson, but he was kind of hurt, but he was kind of there and he would play okay. But when, you know, reality sets in and you think DeMarcus Ware on one side, Von Miller on the other side, pot roast in the middle, and a guy like Sylvester Williams that's just been playing lights out, Vickerson coming back, although be it from another injury, he's another big body. This front four, scary.
Oh, really scary.
Absolutely.
Add to that, Danny, I mean, just think back a few years ago, we desperately needed help on the defensive line. Add to that, Derek Wolfe put on 30 pounds, very healthy. He's been a wrecking ball so far in training camp. And then Marvin Austin, who's been a little bit of a shocker, has been also throwing people around. This defensive front is as good as any Broncos team ever. I think that great things are going to happen. And Von Miller, although he hasn't played any preseason game, is just eating people alive. He decided not to put on as much weight, get that speed back, and we're going to see the old Von. I also like they're bringing in Talib. Similar stats as DRC, but the difference is the attitude. We're not going to have, I'm thinking about retiring at the end
of the physicality.
I mean, right now, Talib is going to get out there, knock some people out. If he can stay healthy, that's been the one thing. He brings some nasty. You throw that in with the little TJ Ward. Remember, Chris Harris was out during the Super Bowl. All of a sudden, this Bronco team has come together, and it's all topped off with a guy by the name of Brandon Marshall, not Looney Tunes Marshall that we had before.
You know, real quick, I'm going to interrupt you, Shad. Just for Denver media, I am really getting sick of the question posed to our new middle linebacker. Geez, how many times have you been asked if you're the guy that catches the balls for Denver? Come on, guys. You know, move past it. It's like John Fox being asked, you know, your last name is the same as a furry woodland creature. Let's get to the bare bones. This team, Shad, has something that we haven't. It's the D word, and it is defense, baby. But it's depth. And this is something I think that we can all really, really get excited about. We are about a week away, maybe less than a week away from the first round of cuts. And with this much depth, and, you know, we've already gone through a couple of preseason games. We look pretty good against Seattle. But the depth really showed, obviously, against San Francisco and that thumping. The Denver Bronco roster, you know, whoever these guys are cutting, I would venture to guess don't really look too good to actually get these guys through to a practice squad. I think the rest of the NFL has taken notice of what the Denver Broncos have as far as depth, and poaching will then ensue.
Yeah, no, there's potential Super Bowl starters that could be cut. Now let's flip it over on the offensive side of the ball, where we're seeing some other exciting things. I know the lady folk, they love that Eric Decker. He's a great guy. We covered some of the things that Eric did. But Emmanuel Sanders, as he's been a little dinged up in training camp, explosive, deep threat, not likely to trip over a blade of grass. I think Sanders adds. And then the pickup, I think, of the whole draft, Todd McShay calling him the most underrated person drafted in this year's draft.
Cody Latimer.
Gotta love Cody. Has a big touchdown against Seattle. Has looked good. Drops one pass all of last year. So you add on Cody, add Emmanuel Sanders, and then how about moving your buddy, the scary man, Orlando Franklin, goes from being on the side. They put him in at guard. You bring in an all-pro Ryan Clady, who, by the way, another guy that wasn't in the Super Bowl. You bring an all-pro there. You got Vasquez, an all-pro on the other side. Suddenly, this offensive line looks very, very tough.
It does look very, very tough and very solid. Again, we're talking about depth. Injuries can and will happen, and obviously you always keep your fingers crossed, make sure that the injury bug stays away. But going back to your receivers, Emmanuel Sanders, the plug and play of this offense. Let's be honest, folks. This is Peyton Manning. This guy is going to make anybody look good. Andre Caldwell, a perfect example last year. A guy gets dinged up, he comes in, catches a couple of touchdowns, huge yards. I really believe it doesn't matter. I love the fact that we have Emmanuel Sanders. Am I bummed about Eric Decker? Sure. Good Bronco, good dude, good for the community. But, when it comes to wins and losses, short of you or me catching balls, I think you could just about plug anybody in there and they're going to be successful at that position.
I absolutely agree. Seeing the same thing, Danny, on the tight end spot, right? Tammy's like a fine wine. I mean, he's just
this guy is probably having the best camp of any tight end right now.
Good. One-handed catch in the scrimmage that we went to. He's looked good in all the practices. Julius Thomas had a touchdown the other day. It's going to be lights out. The Broncos are trying to get him and Demaryius signed. And Demaryius Thomas misses a week of camp, comes back, looks like an all-pro out of the gate.
Mid-season
you got Virgil Green in at tight end, Jarrell Robinson, who's been converted to tight end. We have got talent coming out of our ears. Folks, we didn't say this. All you got to do is go look at the last few years that we've done these podcasts. I'm telling you, this team is Super Bowl caliber. This is a winning team, and the pressure, Danny, you can feel in the room on Del Rio and John Fox is through the roof, because right now you have the most talented team in the NFL, hands down. Yes, Seattle fans, San Francisco fans. This, from depth across the board, the most talented team. You better win it all.
And therein lies all the pressure, Shad. You just said it. You just laid it out there. All this talent. It is win now. There is no second chances. Second sucks. We all felt that last year in the Super Bowl. So, moving forward, game plan is Texans are in town. We're still trying to figure out who the final roster is going to be. Texans are in town doing a little joint practicing. They will play Saturday night against each other. Kind of nice to be a little, hitting somebody other than your own. Peyton Manning came out today, wasn't real happy with the way the offense played. Well, something, and this might be a very good thing for the Denver Broncos to go out and maybe look embarrassed by the worst team in the NFL, coming off of a win over San Fran and a win over the Super Bowl champions. You can never sit back on your laurels in the NFL, or you're going to get your butt handed to you.
That's a true leader right out of the gate. And there's still here's the exciting part of the rest of the preseason. There's still some jobs that need to be determined.
Sure.
Great competition at the running back position. Monte Ball, although out, is back practicing again. He's not doing the contact stuff, but he's going to be great. And then it's who's after that? Is it C.J. Anderson? And how about Juwan Thompson?
I am so high on Juwan Thompson.
I know you are.
That is unbelievable. It was kind of nice to see that Ronnie Hillman came back, a little bit of a bigger Ronnie Hillman that we have seen in past. He's certainly still sitting there on the right behind Monte Ball on the depth chart, but I don't think anybody saw Juwan Thompson coming in. For 2 straight weeks, he has sent an opposing defensive player to the sidelines wondering what freaking day it was. This guy is just, he's a brute, he's a bruiser. He's got good size,
He's our steamroller. That's his new nickname. He is the steamroller.
For a goal line, absolutely like him. C.J. Anderson, he looks like, he's certainly shown spurts of where he was last year.
Flashy
and Capri Bibbs.
Yeah.
Good Lord. I mean, lightning in a bottle. So, it's just pick your poison, people.
Yep. No, there's some tough decisions that are going to be, need to be made. And Bibbs, by the way, had 2 great plays on special teams, being the guy to go down there and make some tackles.
Right.
And we remember Terrell Davis, folks that have been around here. That's how he kind of got his name and his foot into the door. Right. So tough decisions.
Seemed to work out for Terrell, didn't it?
Well, Ronnie's getting paid a lot of money. What's saving him is the Broncos picked him a lot earlier than a lot of experts thought they should have. And so, do you admit that that's a problem and move on? Do you save a little money? Right now, they're under the cap. There's no real need, but I think Vickerson and Hillman both a little bit higher on the pay.
Yeah, exactly. Or possibly trade bait. Vickerson was not a part of the contract deal with Fox and Elway. That was a part of Joshy Boy's whole regime when they signed him to a 5-year contract. Hillman is what Hillman is, and so far he hasn't really panned out. He's had a lot of good backs ahead of him, obviously, to learn from. But but again, tough choices coming up at virtually every position. There's, other than the receiving core, which seems to be pretty solid right now. Of course, you need to carry one or two extra guys. The big question this year, with all this talent and all this depth and all the need at defensive line and offensive line to have backups, do you carry three quarterbacks on the roster?
I don't know that you do. I don't. But speaking of quarterbacks, by the way, Brock is really developing, looking great, strong arm, learning, being patient, and everybody else the Broncos have been patient with has paid off. We're seeing it with Derek Wolfe. We're seeing it with Quanterus Smith. We didn't even mention him. Man, that guy is all over the place. Going to have a big year. Another great defender. So I think Brock's there. I don't know why you keep an extra quarterback. I would keep defensive backs. I think linebackers. We already saw Trevathan get hurt, now out. There's other places I think you need insurance. Right. But we'll see how that all plays out.
It's certainly possible that they can pass Zach Dysert through like they did last year and get him onto the practice squad, because the kid just came out and did what? Went right down the field, throw some touchdowns. Yep. You look at all three quarterback stats against the game against San Francisco, very, very similar. But it's just a group of guys that have gelled and have gotten it. I do agree that Brock Osweiler is a completely different guy this year. Seems like he has a lot more command of the offense, a little more cerebral rather than the gunslinger, which every pass this kid throws is a frozen rope. It's just amazing to see, step back and just take a look at the whole and go, my God, the coaches and John Fox, how do you figure out the final 55 on these guys?
Yeah, and I think one other thing that we have to talk about is the kick/punt returner. Is that Isaiah Burse? Is that going to be Norwood? I mean, that's another tough competition that's happening right now.
I don't think both survive.
Yeah. So somebody's got to go. Right. Norwood's got the touchdown already. Burse got a cool name, and it's probably a little more electrifying, but Norwood, I think, is a little more polished. So we'll see how it all plays out. We're going to be here. We may not be here right after the next preseason game, but we'll get you another update here before the regular season, and then once we're rolling, we'll be here every week. Right now, I don't know what other way to sum it up, but this is a dang good Denver Broncos team that's got potential through the roof, Danny. And if you're a Bronco fan, you got to be excited about all the things that John Elway did.
Absolutely, and time will tell, folks. So until then, we'll see you next time. I'm Danny. This is Shad. This is Bronco Planet.